So we're going to be in the shop today doing a couple of things to the 2002 Ford F-150 Lightning.
What do you think, buddy? Go work in the shop.
We're going to do just a basic oil change, do a couple other little odds and ends. But of course, I get tied into something more. Old Timber. Anyways, so this is my first oil change in this truck with this royal purple. Typically I go with a Ford Motorcraft oil, 5W20 or a 10W30, but I've been having some issues lately with performance of the Motorcraft oil. I use it in a 1975 F100 with a 302. We're checking for a bad shock. And for carbureted or pushrod engines, you know, that oil is pretty good. But with this being a Lightning, it being almost a classic vehicle, the motors are very expensive to rebuild. I felt like I needed to go with something that's a little bit more engineered for high performance versus long duty or extended duty, like the Ford Motorcraft oil is. That rigid impact that you see me using, I really love. I've had that thing for about 2.5 years now, and it has never failed me. I keep it in the truck, and I do anything and everything with it. I could take off semi-tires, my F250 tires, or even a trailer tire. I love it.
The QA1, it is blown. We're going to be taking that shock out. Looking at this, we're going to clean all this area up. Got some leaking. Probably wouldn't hurt to repack that bearing. Looking at everything else, it looks pretty good. Everything seems to be tight. We'll have to fix that.
Not even gonna lie, I definitely had to use a Sawzall.
As you can see that shock, it's a QA1. It's definitely seen better days though. I believe this is bad. Now QA1 is a very good shock, but just not today. It failed, and it failed miserably. It looks like it split right there at that seam and busted out. If you look right there, studs looks to be fine. Got a little bit of knocking right here on that bump stop. I will be going with the Beltex. Sorry, my heater's on. It's running pretty loud. I got front and rear. That's rear.
Now, I will say that I thought I definitely got 4 of the same rear shocks. I did end up getting the correct 2 front and the correct 2 rear. I ended up getting a lot of parts from a place called LMR. You can just do a Google search. They're a good Ford aftermarket parts place.
I was about to say it was getting questionable, but we are going back with the Beltex Street Performance versus the QA1s. I don't need that. Finally, once you get these locked in, slide it up through there and lock it in. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to clean up this a little bit. Get these cleaned up, make them look a little bit better. The bearings are still good. There's no real play in them. Maybe a little. There's definitely some crack in there.
Really just need to turn the rotor, but I'm not at that point today, so we're just gonna forget about it for right now. But hopefully I don't get mesothelioma cleaning this thing off. I didn't realize how much dust was flying up, but probably next time I should wear a mask.
Alright, so I am switching out the QA1s. It's really good. It didn't do what it needed to do. It busted. I am going for a little bit heavier duty. These are the Bilstein Street Performance. We'll see how they are. I had to cut the tops off. I couldn't get them to stop spinning. That lock ring wasn't working. Is it worth saving these? Probably not. So they will be going in the strap bin. But I've got just about everything going on. I'm going to change that supercharger fluid, and we'll see where we're at that point. Got the other side going. This side's completely done, and got to clean up. Got a big mess. This is the bad one. It sounded like I was going down the road dragging a chain, and I guess it was just slapping so hard. Other than that, got it cleaned up. We'll go on a test drive. Got to check the oil once you get everything level. We're gonna come in here and check that fluid. I'm gonna suck it all out and put new fluid in. The fluid's pretty expensive. It's about $50 a bottle. But this is what it takes, and this is what we're gonna put in it. I've got 2 of them on the shelf. And then we'll do a couple more oil changes. I try to keep a good supply of stuff random for the tractor, Royal Purple I'm starting to use. I've always used Motorcraft oil. All I have are Fords, so I mean I've always been a Motorcraft guy. Got brakes and done. Those shocks. I do have some rear shocks I got to put on. I'm debating on doing that tonight. The rear code for the shocks is 1031 1B. This is the front. This is the back. Okay. So 10 311 and then 10 103.
So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to suck out all this fluid. You can see the little spout right there where the little Allen key head is. Once you break this loose, as you just see me, I was kind of tightening it so I can get it to loose. That's just something I've always done. But once you get that popped, you're going to have some oil just pour out. So always put a towel down right there. But once you do get it all drained out, get a little sucker. I use a turkey baster with a extension hose on it, and I just suck it out. And once that's all sucked out, I'll get the new oil. I'll throw in whatever I can. I actually put in a little bit too much because I am kind of slow and I do have sausage fingers. As long as I can get it threaded quick enough, I'm good with it. But sometimes I have to fill it up even more, shove that thing in there, lock it down, and then we're good. You can't really put too much oil in there. You do want to pay attention because on the end of that little bolt, there is an O-ring. Pay attention to it and make sure it's not bad ripped or starting to split. Alright, now that we got that out of the way, I'd like to look into this oil separator. It's made by J&L Oil Separating Company. It's around 200 bucks. It's definitely worth it, in my opinion. It's been about a month since I installed it. It took about 20 minutes. It does connect into the PCV system, and it keeps oil from sucking into your intake. I only got about 500 to 600 miles on it, so this goes to show you how much oil actually goes from your PCV into your intake, which can rob power, and you just got to do a lot of maintenance to it. But that's a lot of oil. What I'm doing now is I'm going to go see if there's any sludgy oil in it or if it's just a thin oil. That's my main concern.
There was a lot of oil in there. Just cleaning the can out pretty good.
I did have to use a
wrench to get that off.
I am going to install one of these remotes. I only have one clicker as of right now, so I really needed a second one. Should be pretty self-explanatory how to install it, but always good to read the directions. I think this is the second time in my life I've ever read directions. Now, don't follow what I'm doing if you drive a Chevrolet, GMC, or any other vehicle. Every vehicle has their own different cycle, so wouldn't want you to mess up your vehicle because you're watching me do mine.
We got the shocks replaced on the front. I'm gonna do the back on a later date. I switched out these QA1s, which were blown, and I put in the Beltac Street. Hold on, I'll tell you the exact name. It's the Street Performance. Like I said, I just did the fronts. I do have the backs. That'll be another video. I went ahead and serviced the transmission. Did the oil. I used Royal Purple. Transmission fluid, I just used the Motorcraft I got from Ford. Pretty much did everything I could. For some reason, I am blowing out coolant from this cap through this vent. I am going to have to keep an eye on that. I only had 1,000 miles over here on this oil separator. Comes out of the valve cover. Comes on this side, it goes and it routes back. It does go to the back of the where they do the turkey pan delete. I did have an issue with that hose where it was leaking vacuum. Now, I will say that I got that fixed. I ordered a new hose. I'll include a link of where I got this hose at. I did not order it straight from Ford. Ford does not carry this hose anymore, but that goes also to the K&N filter. I will have to do the back. They are a little iffy. I installed a new clicker, topped off all the fluids, changed the oil. I am using a new oil. I've always been a die-hard Motorcraft guy. All of my trucks since day one have ran Motorcraft, but I keep hearing about the Royal Purple in these performance engines, and I had a little issue in my 75 where this Motorcraft oil was not doing what it needed to do for protecting my engine. So we are going to go that route and try the Royal Purple. Other than that, I'm just going to test out the shocks. I'm about to go on a little ride. I don't know if Timber's going to go. Timber's a little iffy. I think he's ready to go to bed. He's being a grouch. It's about 8:30 at night, and he's being a little grouchy. So, you ready to go to bed, buddy? You ready to go to bed, or you want to go for a ride? I don't think he actually cares. Okay. All right. Well, I'll see you when I get on the road.
Here's some dad advice to any of you future parents. If you ever have a child that does not want to go to sleep, take them for a ride in a truck like this, or just anything a little louder. My youngest definitely fell asleep to that sound, not necessarily that sound, but just the hum of the truck when she was younger, and it definitely made the nights a lot shorter.
I do need to get a tune for the
Whenever
truck.
we would go on a ride.
A couple of things need to be changed. Definitely transmission shift points need to be changed. Pulling up at the best store for automotive parts. I wish they'd sponsor me, but that's going to be a shot in the dark if I ever get a sponsorship from them guys. Just to let y'all know, it's very critical for y'all to keep a clean shop. Everybody thinks I'm crazy for mopping my shop, but this is just after a day out here. We got gravel driveways and dirt roads, and if you don't keep your shop clean, it can get pretty messy. Trying to keep everything organized. I still have to go through this black toolbox and this top Craftsman box. Those are kind of my junk boxes that I just moved in here. But other than that, pretty much everything else is pretty much organized. I got a couple of lights left up here that I'm going to have to figure out and hang. We put the configuration in like this, and it's plenty bright in here. I do have a lean-to off the side of this shop that I could light up. It goes out and goes around, and I've got the log splitter right here. I'm sure y'all have seen it in other videos. But I could put a couple of lights out here. They are waterproof. And like I said, they do light up everything. So, but yeah, I just wanted to let y'all know that keeping a clean shop is critical. I use a purple Fabuloso, and like a 5-gallon bucket of water. I'll show you what the floor looks like after I get it clean. I did a couple of transmission services, oil changes, shocks, and a couple other things. Couple trailer tires changes in here, and it's just, you can see, I mean, it just gets messy. But yeah, alrighty. I've mopped a lot of floors in my life, in a lot of places, and it's all the same, just keep a good swinging motion, soak up the dirt. I could sit here and move everything, but this is just going to be a quick mop. I'll do generally a very good clean once a month, but every time I get the shop cleaned up and clear, I at least like to get the floor remopped before we bring in more mud. And I like to grit it off. Really like to grit it off. Makes life so much easier. If you have to scrub and get a couple of spots out, you can. But as long as you stay in your grid, you can mop the football field and get it all, everything cleaned up. I've probably mopped close to 1,000 football fields in my life. But, you know, most people haven't even picked up a mop in their life. It's pretty bad. Easy, quick thing, especially when you get dirt everywhere, you know. Really dirty. Yeah, one of the main reasons why I'm starting this channel is, you know, my girlfriend, she's got 3 kids, and kind of reminded me of my brother and myself. I've got other siblings around, but it's just one of those things to where it just kind of gave me a reminder of how life is, and you know, I'm trying to teach these boys something because we're growing up in a world, or they're growing up in a world, we're living in it, but they're growing up in a world where, you know, work isn't work anymore. You know, everybody's got college degrees. There's not a lot of blue collar guys that are young, and running into an issue everywhere that there's not enough blue collar workers. You know, I get it. Not everybody's going to be a doctor. Not everybody's going to be, you know, a scientist. But I will tell you, if you learn a trade, nobody can ever take it away from you. And no matter how bad the economy is, you're always going to put food on the table. There's going to be accountants out here, you know, real estate folks, and everybody's going to be struggling. It's one of those things where it's kind of, you don't bring in a lot of money all the time, but it's consistent money. And I've been very thankful doing what I've been doing in life. And, you know, I'm only 35, so I'll be able to do a lot more of it, but I'm not working as hard as I once did. You know, I've had my daughter since she was a year old, full custody of her by myself for a long time. I've been married, but the ladies just aren't like they used to be. I had a hard marriage. I wish I could get my point across about how important it is to learn a trade. I was fortunate enough to not have too many friends that didn't work. All my friends were blue collar guys. You know, most of them were getting ready to retire to begin with, and they all needed somebody to do all the hard work that they couldn't because their knees were blown out. They couldn't climb ladders anymore, or they couldn't work 15, 18, 20 hours a day. So they had to find somebody like me to where they could. I need to get some kitty litter. Need to get some kitty litter. There's a couple little odds and ends spots, but it is what it is. Get a little bit more over here. I don't know why. Let's get some dirty. I do. I don't really call it blue collar. I just call it black pocket t-shirt or black hoodie. I've always just worn that. Very critical to have a pocket in your shirt.
I'm not fond of using tool belts, and probably just been bigger. I carry stuff in my pocket on my shirt. Pretty much, I'm done with tonight. Did a little bit of maintenance on the Lightning. Really needed it. I'm still getting a shaking, like a clank, like a small little chain is dragging, and I'm thinking that's the rear shocks. I thought it would have been the front. The truck's so loud, it's kind of hard to pinpoint where noises are coming from. But I do believe once I change those rear shocks, we will see it. And it's almost, it's just like a little squeak, like a little mouse. I just hear it. So I know if I hear it, other people hear it from outside the vehicle. But ending on that, tomorrow, the plans, I got to change some oil in 2 other vehicles, a GMC and a Jeep. We'll be fiddling around and we'll go from there.